Hey everyone, what's up? It says I'm live here. I feel live. I've got my Beato mug here. Drinking this weird aloe thing that my wife bought. Aloe strawberry thing. I'm drinking it last night. That's in the harmonic minor mug if you want to buy it on the store. Everything in the store today, as I do on live streams, is 20% off. My mugs, the Beato book. This is how I pay for my whole channel here, Beato book. Actually, the PDF of this is my actual copy. It's 20% off, and the code is RB903, okay? Thank you, everybody that put in the really nice comments on the video yesterday, my little anniversary 500,000 subscriber video. I had a lot of fun actually making that, going back and watching how bad some of my videos looked in the past with the horrendously bad editing. I wish I could have a do-over on some of those, just some of the cuts. Man, you guys put up with, those of you that have been watching this for a long time, put up with a lot of bad editing. But I was doing them in the middle of the night after my sessions. That's why I was doing them all in the control room, because I couldn't move anything out here. And thanks for all the congratulations. I want to talk about, I've been trying to talk a lot more about practicing and the types of things to practice. No matter what instrument you're playing, I like to go over practicing concepts though, and ways of organizing your practice time, because I think that's really, really important. I think that some of the things that I did since I was a bass major in college and only had time to practice the guitar in the summertime, I feel like I was really efficient in my use of the things I practiced. And I always tell you, practice things that you don't know, right? Don't practice what you know, practice what you don't know. Of course, I'm going to show you things that I do know here though. But I want to talk about just how to use chord inversions for practice, for actual playing purposes if you're backing someone up, and how to use them in soloing inversions, okay? So I'm going to take a simple 2-5-1 progression in the key of A. So it'd be B minor 7 to E7. That would be a straight E7 to A major 7. I'm going to use E9 as a substitute. So 2, 5. Between that 2 and the 5, there's only one note that changes. The A becomes a G sharp there, okay? That actually could go like that and move up to a sharp 4. But if we're talking about inversions, so I have this, these are all root position chords, okay? If I go off, let's say, using voice leading, I take the first chord, the B minor 7th chord, and I'm going to go to the third of it and play a substitution or an inversion of it, okay? So this chord could be this, D major 7. Now, D major 7 is the first substitute that uses the notes of B minor 9, okay? So it's got the minor 3rd, it's got the flat 7, it's got the 9th and the 5th. Okay, so that is like a B minor 9. If I put B in the bass, I have a B minor 9 chord there, okay? And then what you want to do, you want to voice lead that. Well, one note really changes in the chord. If I move the A down to G sharp, and I put E in the bass, the reason I chose the key of A is so I'd have that low E for that chord. And then I want to find the closest inversion to the A major 7, which is going to be C minor 7, which is built, C sharp minor 7, which is built off the 3rd of the A chord. So if I play a C minor 7 chord like that, and I put A in the bass, it gives you an A major 9 sound, okay? So here's an interesting thing. This is really easy to understand. On minor 7th chords, if you go to the 3rd, you substitute with a major 7th chord. So the major 7th chord is the first inversion built off a minor 7. So on B minor 7, off the 3rd, you play a major 7. But on a major 7th chord, off the 3rd, you play a minor 7th. It's just the opposite, okay? It sounds tricky, but it's actually very easy. So I'm going here and I'm playing D major 7 to D major 7 flat 5, okay? Then C sharp minor 7, okay? So that is a way to use really good voice leading there for substitutions. Now, I could also go like this. I could play D major 7 to D half diminished. So D major 7 to D minor 7 flat 5. If I put an E in the bass, I get all the notes of E altered. So I get the flat 7, I have the 3rd, I get the sharp 5, and the flat 9. So it's like a sharp 5, flat 9. So 2, 5, 1, and I'll end up in my C sharp minor 7. So if I'm doing that, I can simply play those arpeggios. Then, and I went up D minor 7 flat 5. What's up, Ray? Then came down C sharp minor 7. So oh, if the guitar's backwards, sorry about that. That's a glitch in the YouTube app. It has nothing to do with me. So sorry that I'm left-handed, but that shouldn't make any difference. Think of it. My first guitar teacher was left-handed, Glenn, and we would sit with the guitar necks facing each other, and it was actually very easy to learn. You just look at it and you're like, okay, cool. Okay, so I did D major 7 to D minor 7 flat 5 to C sharp major minor 7. Okay, so if you okay, so I did you see how I use those open strings to play the roots so that you would be able to hear those. When I hit this, right? Root, flat 9, 3rd, sharp 5, flat 7, flat 9, 3rd, sharp 5. Okay, so that's 2, 5, 1. I could also play, I could play off the 5th of the 2 chord. So in this case, I go, here's my B minor 7, there's my 3rd, F sharp. So I'm going to play this inversion. I could play this inversion, which is an inversion of this chord, or I could play F sharp minor 7. I'm going to play this, and then. So here's B minor 7, but inverted with a 5th in the bass. Then I just lower that note, the A, to G sharp, and that gives me this E9 chord, but another inversion of it. And then I move down to the E, because that's the next closest inversion to the A major 7 there. So that's called proper voice leading, okay? So 2, 5, 1. Now, I can use the same principles using this D minor 7 flat 5 here. If I'm doing, or I could do, I'm going to give you a different one here. That's even better. I like the sound of that. So, B minor 7, then I go to F diminished 7. Now, F diminished 7 over E gives you an E7 flat 9 chord. You get the flat 9, the 5th, flat 7, and the 3rd. Here's E7. If I put the flat 9 on the bass, it gives me all the notes of. So if I play those arpeggios, right? If I'm here. Okay, and then I've got A. Then I went to A major 7 there. So I went up B minor 7. So B minor 7. And I went to that. There, I'm coming down the F. Okay, so B minor 7. Now I'm doing, I'm using that F diminished 7th, but I'm using it in different places on the guitar. I'm going up B minor 7. So I'm going to go to this note here because that's in that, right? I've got that, but I'm going to play it here. Okay, so there's my 2-5-1 there, using that F diminished 7th as a substitute for E7 flat 9. Same chord. So 2, 5, 1. Okay? So I'm going off the 5th. You always want to go off the chord tones. Those are where you want to derive your inversions from. And it will help you with your voice leading in these things. If you're comping behind somebody, you got a bass player, you know. So let's say I'm doing, somebody's playing a 2-5-1. So right there, that's using some different inversions. Okay, so we've already learned here that the 5 chord substitute, you can play either a diminished chord a half step above or a half diminished chord a whole step below. Those are 2 really cool inversions to play. So if I have an E7 chord, I can play a D minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio and it will give me all the notes. It's a great, gives you great E altered sound right there. Or that diminished chord a half step above. Okay, so remember, diminished chord a half step above the dominant chord, or a half diminished chord a whole step below. There's a little cheat for how to play those cool altered sounds on it. And if you want to play unaltered, you can play, there's another thing you can do here. I can play, instead of playing the B minor 7 here, I can actually put the 4th in the bass and play an E11 as a sub for B minor 7. E11, then I'm gonna keep the root there and I'm gonna drop back down to this triad here. That's a D flat major triad, which comes out of that diminished scale. Great sound, really cool. Really cool. That's a great sound for E altered, right? What's up, Monty? So I did a 2, but with the 5th in the bass, or with the 4th in the bass, sorry. So it'd be like a B minor 11, 2, the 5, where I drop this triad, the D triad down to D flat, because that D flat triad comes out of this E. Right, from this E half whole diminished. And then my 1 chord, I can go to, if you want to get really hip, that would be like an A Lydian sound there. Check that out, it's very cool. 2, 5, 1. Now the voice leading in that, 2, 5, This note moves down to there, to the 5th of the A major 7, right? This note goes to the 9th. This note goes down to the 13th. But this note goes to the sharp 11. Wow. Now that is hip. People, love that sound. 2, 5. So that's a really cool chord substitution. Now, if you're playing, let's say you're playing on the top strings, for example, and you want to do a chord substitution. So let's say I've got a B minor 7 chord, and I'm playing here. And I go up here to the note D, and I play a D6 chord, okay, as an inversion. So here's my voicings up here. Then I resolve down, right? This is what West does all the time. He uses that diminished chord a half step above the root of the dominant chord all the time. And you'll hear him play those things, you know. And you got to practice those moving in minor thirds. Or you can do the, you know, it's a little bit more modern sound. That kind of a sound. I'm using an upper extension of the diminished chords, right? But I'm basing it off this F diminished chord over E. Moving it in minor thirds. You can move it in the diminished scale too, right? You can go. Wes will do that as well. You play a diminished scale like that. You can. He'll use it. He uses it in lines like that, where he'll play, you know, like a. You always just have to make sure that you're using it in the half-whole diminished, right? If I put an E in the bass. You can do it with anything. If I do any of the other cool sound, right? But you got that. It's just a great. It's a really, really great way to kind of expand on the kind of chord sounds that you have. So those kind of things can be used. So I'm playing 2, flat 9 subs, 2, to back to 2, back to, and then I go, and then, so I'm playing a B minor 7, E7 flat 9, B minor 7, E7 flat 9, and then B minor 7, B minor 7, B minor 9, E9, and then I can play I'm using those. So once again, taking that very simple principle of inversions, E7, change it to E9, and then you have all those diminished seventh chords, and they work the same way. It works the same way. Works the same way on there. I'm adding the root in there too because it's nice. I think it's a cool to launch. You can also use some of the other scale tones. Joe Pass, somebody said yes, absolutely. It's great sound, right? Hard. And going back to the root there. Same thing with that dominant, with that minor 7 flat 5 down a whole step. But I'm adding it to the arpeggio. So there it is, D minor 7 flat 5. So I passed right through the root, but you don't even have to. Now I'm using that scale there with the altered scale, right? Right? Let's do something like this here. So you can really hear it. There's it. I'm thinking that. Let me turn down that chord just a little bit. Hold on. There you go. There's my D minor 7 flat 5 right there. There's that sound there. Or A7 flat sharp A flat major 7 sharp 11. I'm thinking right there, I'm just thinking of that D minor 7 flat 5 over that E7 chord there. So I'm using one simple inversion there that I'm playing the half diminished chord off this 7th. Just like if I played B minor 7 and I think the major 7th chord built off the 3rd. There's my D major 7 over B minor 7. Beautiful sound though. right? Then I go to my 5 chord. Oh, it's a little tricky there. Yeah, I'm using some fourths in that. Ingve, if he would play that over there, that's great. I mean, you don't have to get into any fancy, you know, you can get into fancy stuff like that where you play your... That's where you're playing. Hard to do. Hard to do here, though. That's using all minor thirds there. And then you get your 1 chord, right? And you got your... Now that can be a bunch of things. You can play C minor, C sharp minor 7, right? A major 7 I can play. I could play, make it a Lydian augmented chord. Beautiful sound there, right? Love those sounds. So I'm just... Whoops. Oh, come on. Whoops. So right there, I'm using some really simple chord inversions, and you can play them as chords: 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1. Or I could go, you know, 2, 5, 1, like that. So I did B minor 7, 2, and A flat Lydian augmented, which gives me all the sounds of E altered. And then I did an inverted A major 7. So 2, 5, 1. So I kept that note E for good voice leading. B minor 11 to A flat Lydian augmented, which is a sub for E7 altered, to a first inversion, or I'm sorry, a third inversion A major 7 chord. 2, 5, 1. That's a great, great sound there, right? As I could go 2, 5, 1, like that. 2, 5, 1. That's more stock. Tritone sub, boring. You don't want to get caught doing the boring stuff. Okay, questions. Let me get this closer here. Beato book, by the way. All the stuff is in here. RB 903, 20% off everything in my store. That's how I pay for anything. And remember, you guys can sign up to the Beato for the Beato Club if you want to support the channel. And you've bought the Beato book, and you're like, man, you know, I love Rick's channel. I want him to keep doing it. I want to sign up for the Beato Club. You can find that on my website too. It's like basically like Patreon. Similar idea. Okay, so questions here. Where's my glasses here? Let me look. Mac is over there. He's okay. What do we got? Are there any inversions that have more tensions than others, and how do you resolve those? Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing. On order of tensions, every scale. So there's a number of tensions that you can have. Let's say on a let's talk about a dominant chord. Your first level, from least tension to most tension, you know, obviously you take a chord like this, you know, E7 or E9. any 9, 11, 13 will give you, those are your least tenths. Obviously your straight 7, then you go to the 9, then you go to the 11, then you go to the 13. Then the first things that you add in are the flat 5. That's probably the least tenths of all the tension notes. So, but then you start adding in the flat 9 and the sharp 9 and those sounds, right? So the first thing, if you add in the flat 5, then you get into mixed sharp 11. That's your least tense beyond Mixolydian. Here's Mixolydian, right? Then you've got Mixolydian flat sharp 11. Then you go into the dominant diminished, which is a half whole diminished. That's your next level of tension. Because it's got 3 tension notes in it. It has the flat 5, the flat 9, and the sharp 9. Then you have the altered dominant, which has the extra sharp 5 in it. Because the half whole diminished does not have a sharp 5. It has a natural 5 and a natural 6. So you get that 13 flat 9, 13 flat 9 sound. Now there are other sounds that you can do. You can do Phrygian major, which is a mode of the harmonic minor scale, which is a different sound. That will give you a sus4 with a flat 9 and a natural 5th. So that would be like, it's a cool sound. It's more of a you know. So I've got that flat 6 or sharp 5, natural 5, sus4. That's where that sound comes from. It's more like Al Di Meola, Paco de Lucia. I love it. It has a diminished 7th. Has a diminished 7th arpeggio in there. But also has an augmented chord in there, which is cool. So you got the augmented and diminished. But that's sus4. That's where you get your. I love that. That's a Phrygian major sound there. So that's a different sound. You can also actually play Phrygian. That's more of a Spanish sound if I'm doing it. I love that sound. So actually using just straight Phrygian on the dominant chord. So. Cool sound. Oh, I went to Phrygian major. Beautiful, beautiful sound. I love that too. That's you know, that's what you hear. You know, you listen to Al and Paco and John McLaughlin playing together, Mediterranean Sundance from Al Di Meola's record, where that's like the first time anybody heard Paco here in the United States, even though he was famous in Spain at the time. When I heard that, you start hearing those Phrygian sounds, the Phrygian major sounds and everything. That's a really different kind of putting that Spanish flavor on the dominant chord. Love that sound. So that's another possibility. And there's other dominant sounds that you can use on, there's other alterations that you can use on dominant chords, obviously. In my book, I have a chapter where I talk about the chords, where I talk about what chords you can play over what kind of let's say I've got a, Yeah, minor seventh chord. What are the different modes that you can play on minor seventh chords? What are the different modes you can play on major seventh chords, right? So, where I'm talking about the formulas with this stuff. So, let's see here. Like chord families and their scales. Okay, so I have major chord types here. I know it's going to be backwards and you can't look at it. So on any major seventh chord, right, you can play Ionian, Lydian, Lydian augmented, Ionian augmented, major pentatonic, major blues, and the augmented scale. Those are all possibilities. On minor seventh chords, you can play Dorian, Phrygian, Aeolian, melodic minor, Dorian flat 2, harmonic minor, Dorian sharp 4, the minor pentatonic, minor blues. Dominant chords, you have even more choices, right? You can play, this is all in the book. Those of you that get it, it's RB 903 is the thing. This is on page 25, or 25 and 26 and 27, I think. So on the dominant chords, you've got mixed Lydian, mixed sharp 11, mixed flat 6, altered dominant, Phrygian major, dominant diminished, whole tone, major pentatonic, major blues, minor blues. So those are all different scales that you can play over dominant chords, right? So you got so many flavors. It's all about flavor. This is all about flavor. It's like, what do you want to sound like? There's no reason that people should copy other players. There are so many possible things to do to play. I mean, there really are. It's unbelievable. You can totally develop your own style. Okay, what else here? Can you play a whole tone over an altered dominant? You can play whole tone, right? Right, so that's like a dominant 7 flat 5 or a sharp 5 with a natural 9. That's a sound. So that would be a whole tone. So I play, go off the third here. That's a great sound. So whole tone is another possibility there. Peter, how are you? Peter Smart, everybody. I was talking about you last night, Peter. I was telling my brother-in-law how helpful you've been to the channel. I get so many ideas from Peter on topics. Peter writes to me, says, "Hey, Gibson's going bankrupt. You should do a video on it." And then we did it the next day. It's extremely helpful. My favorite chord. I don't really have a. You're pretty sure Alan Holdsworth played all the possibilities? Well, I guarantee you Alan Holdsworth did not play all the possibilities. I know for a fact that Alan Holdsworth did not play all the possibilities. And I love Alan Holdsworth, but he did not play all the possibilities, my friend. Anybody that knows Alan Holdsworth really well would know that too. But there you go. I don't really have a favorite chord, I wouldn't say. If I were to say, what's a cool sounding chord that I can play now? How about this? Here's a good E Lydian chord. Listen to this one. This is great. Listen. Oh, that's nice. You hear that? This is nice for E mixed Lydian. I love that. So that would be E, B, F sharp, G sharp, E, A. That's an E sus4. It sounds like a piano. It does, right? That's cool. I mean, it's kind of like, this sounds, but it's the intervals. The reason this sounds so good is because of this flat 9 chord in the middle of it. It's got a flat 9, it has a major second in it. And when you combine these different sounds like that, where you have a really dissonant interval like a flat 9, and then you temper it by having a less dissonant interval, your highest level of dissonance in intervals are half steps, major sevenths, and minor nines, right? Minor nine being an inversion of a half step. A major seven is an inversion of a half step, okay? If you think about it, if I have the notes E and F, I have E and F where I can play them like this, where I play E and F like that. I can play F and E, and I can play E and F that way. So, okay, so those are all just interval inversions. But you can temper things, really dissonant intervals, with having more consonant intervals. I had a song that that was a song from my old band, I used a flat nine interval in the guitar part went like this. So right there, think about E. It's got the sus4 and the 9, but with the third in it. But you have this flat 9 interval. Right there, so I did which I think is really beautiful. And so it was so B, then up to D. D in the bass, E in the bass, right? And I love that sound. It was a way that I could sneak in a flat 9 interval in there, and because I tempered that flat 9 with this major third interval in there. The major third doesn't have as much dissonance in there, so when I combine it with the flat 9, when I say temper it, I'm not tempering it. I mean it calms that half step that you hear. It makes it sound like it's not as dissonant as it is, and you put that root on it, and it's beautiful. That I love that with that sus4, sus2 is really beautiful. But when you combine it with the natural third in there. So, anyways, that's more of a sophisticated thing to do, is to take dissonant intervals that were within a scale, and then adding into it more stable intervals, perfect intervals like fifths, for example, in there. That's why you'll see voicings like this that sound great, right? So you've got, or let's see, I've got an A Lydian chord here. I have this interval, so I've got a major seventh here, but if I put a fifth in the middle of it, it calms down this. That becomes this. And having that stable, perfect fifth in there will make that the overtones not ring. You don't get as fast a beating in there. So, anyways, all right. So that's I think we're cool on this. That's a lot of stuff to take in there. Okay, remember Beato book, 20% off everything in my store. RB903. You can get any of my mugs that are your cheat sheets. So when I'm drinking my coffee here, I go, oh man, Dorian flat 2, 1 flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. And it's got all the formulas of I've got all the melodic minor, harmonic major, double harmonic major. I've got all the modes on the mugs. It's on both sides. So you can drink your coffee in the morning and you can learn what notes are in each mode. A genius. I thought of that, and I was like, man, especially when you get into the double harmonic major, because those are, ultra Phrygian, and when you want to learn those things, that is so you just have the stuff on there. I've also have all the triad formulas, like Lydian triad, 1 sharp 4 5, Phrygian triad, 1 flat 2 5, and I've got them all in there. Yeah, they'll ship anywhere. It's a company called T-Launch that ships them out when you purchase them. I got to put the scales and modes on the next T-shirt. Well, the thing about the mug is, I mean, I actually I'm actually using this, and I'm thinking about low grade natural 2 right now, and I want to play that sound. You know, I want to hear that, or I love that. Beautiful sound, low grade natural 2. That's what makes me think, oh, I need to use that in my solos. Or Lydian augmented. That's where you get those sounds from. You get them off the coffee mug. You guys are amazing. Like I said, we're just getting going on this channel. Love you guys. And I got some good stuff coming up this week. All right. So happy Labor Day. There's no it's Labor Day for me is laboring. I know there's no laboring here. This is great. Thank you. I'm going to bring back the art of soloing, Johnny. I will. I'm going to do another one. I want to do some, I have a couple, I have some really, really good ideas for that. So thank you. Take care.